My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast and it's grand final week.
Oh, it's so bittersweet. I mean, that we've watched it again just proves we can go back and watch it again. But it's still, it's the ending of that journey, that rewatch journey.
It's the end of the beginning. It really is.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
No, it's the end of the beginning. 2020's the end of the world as we know it.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
I'm sure REM will ask us for...
Yeah, shouldn't sing too much more of that.
No, Michael Stipe banned it for royalties.
Yes, and, you know, I feel that if he was to rewrite it in lieu of 2020, there would be no tagline of "and I feel fine" because...
And I'm stuck home. I'm on the lounge. Anyway, so this is the grand final of the first series of the Great Canadian Baking Show. Now, I don't think it's sort of wrong to say we've talked this up.
No.
We've talked this series up a lot.
And quite frankly...
We're right.
We're right.
Yeah, we're 100% right.
And all of you who listened to us and came along, you're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. And for those of you who needed something a bit like this during lockdown...
A big, comfy Canadian maple syrup-filled hug.
With Dan Levy stealing bits of it from the corner.
Yes.
As is Dan's want. I mean, look, the greatest part of tonight for Dan was the fact they all pulled out the scissors to go trimming the cake.
And he's like...
And Dan's just like, I have that bit, and maybe that bit, and maybe that bit. I like the idea that he got, after that he went back to the set of Schitt's Creek and like they were in costuming, like cutting bits off suits, and he was just sort of PTSD. Like, can I have some of that? Dan, that's fabric. But it looked like the sponge anyway. So I thought obviously you had. To be honest with you, anyone would have been a worthy grand finalist from this series. It's a great series.
It was just beautiful to see the outcome without, like, no one didn't deserve to be there. They were all wonderful. And if Sabrina won, you'd be like, woohoo. If Linda won, you'd be like, woohoo. And as Sabrina wins, we go, woohoo. So
And because you didn't mention her, because you mentioned Sabrina twice instead.
Did I?
Vandana.
Oh my God.
It gives me a chance.
Oh, yeah.
Vandana, Chris' favourite baker. Vandana, what's she baking today? Well, she's baking at the grand final is what she's baking.
Yes.
Although, I retweeted out as well, this weekend, Vandana's doing some virtual baking.
Ooh.
I don't think she's virtually baking. I think she's actually baking, but showing people virtually.
I virtually bake. I think about it, and I go to, but then I don't. So I virtually... And then I don't.
So she's at Veg Food Fest making vegan meringues with a certain little helper that you might have seen at the end of that episode.
Oh my God,
anyway,
that made me cry again.
Yes, so check out her Twitter, Vandana Bakes, and just go and watch her make vegan meringues. So again, one of the few vegan/vegetarians I'll quite happily cheer on. Openly, the other one being, of course, my Patronus, James. So a very, very narrow window of cheering on vegans. Or
progress,
veggies.
Chris.
So
it's progress to everyone out there.
It is progress. I'm rapidly moving forward.
He even has a favourite vegan restaurant now. Like, this is the thing.
I do. It's the one. So it's the one. Anyway, so
although wasn't it hilarious? The other night when we went onto Uber Eats or Menulog or whatever it is, and it said vegan. And it came up with a Porto.
Yeah, that was, yes.
Like Portuguese chicken.
Yes, Portuguese chicken. Nothing screams vegan to me like Portuguese chicken.
My other thing that I found hilarious is in the healthy category, and McDonald's is listed there.
Look, that would not have been on Menulog, of course, because as we know, like Menulog is a reputable company that allowed us to use their jingle on a podcast.
No, it was definitely Uber Eats. It wasn't on Menulog.
No, Menulog is far too classy for that. They're too busy delivering tacos to the chateau. Anyway, so we had Linda, we had Sabrina.
Skydiving people with noodles and...
True. We had Linda, we had Sabrina, and we had Vandana in the grand final. I'm still disappointed that James missed out, but that's I'm over it. I'm genuinely over it.
Do you think instead of Uber Sled, it was Menulog Sled? Like, because Menulog, very, very diverse in its transportation. You know, they've got skydivers. They've got...
We're going back, by the way, for those who aren't aware, where Kristie's talking about. We're going back to our Virgies, our Canadian Virgies, where we awarded the Virgies for Season 1 and Season 2 of the Great Canadian Baking Show. And, of course, we travelled to Regina, Saskatchewan, and performed the Virgies, of course, in the Casino Regina car park in Winnebago. And Uber Sled did deliver the food that day from the casino to us. And I think it was Uber Sled. Mm-hmm. I know they only took PayPal, so it had to be Uber Sled. So, yes, that's what Kristie's referring to there. Our wonderful, wonderful tribute to the Great Canadian Baking Show.
The Virgies. So, heads up, if you decide to go back and listen to that particular podcast, there are spoilers because...
Season 2 hasn't happened.
If you haven't watched Season 2 in Australia...
We believe Season 2 may happen, but we don't know. There's no planning on it at the moment. I'm hoping they show it. If not... as I've been sort of saying to everyone online, I've been saying about the ether, but I've had to be a bit more specific to people. So what I will suggest is maybe you can find a website that rhymes with Haley Ocean. And if you go onto there, you can maybe check out Series 2.
Or if you've got a VPN, you can also support CBC.
You could also go to the CBC website. I'm assuming their CBC Gem website still has it up. So, obviously, we've got...
Because they're virile like that.
They are, but ching. So, we've got, obviously, Series 2 is also included in that, but I do recommend at some point listening to that Virgies. It's something else. Yeah. It's one of my favourite things we've ever done.
It is the greatest boarded-up theatre restaurant of the mind.
Oh, yeah. What a
sound effects.
And not to pull back the curtain too far, but no, we didn't actually go to Canada. But we put on such a performance that we had some of the bakers complaining we didn't pop in to visit them while we were there. So, you know, I even tagged us on Instagram and said that we checked in at the Casino Regina.
Apparently our dog Leo was able to get in.
The dog was able to fly.
I presume it was the trench coat and glasses that Leo donned like Brain from Inspector Gadget.
That's a Season 2 reference. You'll get that when it comes out. So, anyway, into this one, which is the Season 1 Grand Final. I thought that the signature choice... And by the way, we're going to quickly talk about the Grand Final before we just recap the series in general. I thought the choice of mini mousse cakes was cruel to Pierre. We love you, Pierre.
It was showing growth between episode 1. Like, what separates the creme de la creme of bakers is that they can do mousse. Oh, Pierre, that just sucks.
Sorry, Pierre. We love you. We love you, Pierre.
That's like mousse in the wound.
Oh.
With additional squirrel insult.
So... I loved getting to hear Bruno say mini mousse cakes.
He's like, mini mousse cakes. And I just kept thinking, what about Mickey Mouse cakes?
And again, Bruno. We love you.
Trademarked animal.
Yeah, again, Bruno, we love you.
From a very big corporation.
That is the worst Astro Boy I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, yeah, Bruno talked about it on the podcast. He talked about, in between Series 1 and Series 2, that he actually went and worked on pronunciation in between those two series. Mm-hmm. I'd like to think it was just him playing the phrase mini mousse cakes on loop. And yeah, maybe the threats from Disney that probably stopped them. But I thought mini mousse cakes was actually not a bad challenge.
Well, you needed like different components. You needed time management. You could play around with flavors. You needed to know how to, use gelatin or agar.
Oh, okay, so
it was a good technical signature.
The world of gelatin. So anybody who's ever seen either Bake Off or MasterChef knows the second gelatin becomes involved, shit's going to get real.
Yeah.
And
ground up hooves are a curse.
Yeah. Look, it's almost...
I think it's haunted. Like, these animals have been slaughtered for your dessert entertainment. So obviously, it's like a bit of, I don't know, like grave dirt. You've got grave hoof, and you're putting it in your dessert, so it becomes haunted.
You're making gelatin sound like it's some form of disease, grave hoof.
I was trying to more.
What are you suffering from? I'm suffering from a really nasty case of grave hoof.
came off like that, I was trying to go for the angle of you could walk into a Santiera store or a voodoo store and just go, I will take that candle and some Grave Wolf, thank you.
Have you got any Grave Wolf left? No, we're out of it, unfortunately. So obviously you had two of them using gelatin. Mm-hmm. You had Linda and Sabrina using gelatin.
Linda's gelatin was obviously quite, angry.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, obviously, the gelatin that she got was from an animal that was not particularly impressed with what was happening. It was vengeful.
Vengeful goat.
You want a happy goat or a vengeful goat? Happy goat. So, whereas Vandana went with Agar. So, the substitute's so nice they named it twice. And Agar, we've seen a bit of Agar in Bake Off, and we've seen a bit of Agar in MasterChef, and I'm not going to lie, I'm literally at this point just saying Agar as much as I possibly can.
Agar does?
What?
It helps you do desserts.
Oh my God. I warn you, the
puns
the queen of puns is ready. So obviously Linda made pineapple, coconut, and cherry chocolate mousse cakes, and I use the phrase cakes liberally. Now, I felt so bad for poor Linda. We've seen, whenever you see a grand final, you always feel really bad when something goes wrong. Again, we've talked about this before. One of the joys of a lot of this series has been that you haven't had people fuck up to go home.
No.
It's been people have just been good. And it's like, oh, well, someone has to go home this week. It's you. And again, a slight spoiler for future series of Canadian, that trend continues. That people go home, not necessarily because someone fucked up. It's basically, we've got to send someone.
Yeah.
Like, one of you has to go home. So they look for reasons. So you want that to be why.
It's more enjoyable when that
100%. But in the grand final, again, especially, and we've been, fortunate enough to be at a couple of grand finals, when something goes wrong,
it's heartbreaking.
There's a moment.
And, Linda freely admitted it was her choice of mould. It was too tall.
Yeah, she said she went too high and too tall.
And she chose vengeful Grave Hoof.
Yeah, now, obviously, the animal that provided her gelatin was not happy.
No, just angry bull.
Now, I thought that what she should have done was cover. She should have... There was nothing that says what shape they had to be.
No, they just had to be uniform.
They looked uniform to me.
Yeah.
They uniformly collapsed. And so when they uniformly fall over like that, that's uniform.
Yeah.
So I thought that... I thought, obviously, the cherry chocolate mousse ones... Look, it was noticeable, obviously, but it was less apparent than the coconut ones because the coconut ones were very thin and very tall.
Yeah, but they were still wrapped. They still had their plastic wrapping around it.
Well, they did, because the first couple, if you saw, you took the wrapping off the first one, and it just sludged. And as she said, I used the coconut for the barrier, and I'm like, it's not going to hold it. Not going to hold it at all. Now, Vandana went with the passion fruit and the white chocolate mousse cakes, and a couple of people on Twitter pointed out that this just made them want to eat passion fruit.
Mm-hmm. It's coming up to passion fruit season.
We are coming up to passion fruit season. I think it was Gidget Von LaRue who's actually said, now I just want passion fruits, and I'm right there with you, Gidget.
It's just that tartness and the little poppy seeds. Like, as a child, I had a love-hate relationship with passion fruits because Mama put them down. You'll never know if they were going to be too tart or just perfect.
Is there such a thing as too tart?
Yeah, the ones that you get in your face and you kind of like feel like your whole face is being sucked back. Like
I'm referring, of course, to the fact that you come from a family which featured the cheeky tart. Is there such a thing as too tart?
No, really. We have generational tarts.
I was about to say you have
the cheerful tart.
Generational tartness.
We have a title.
Yes.
I've just claimed it from. Now I'm not saying we're related, but what was it? King James II's mistress.
I don't know.
Was Lucy Scott, the cheerful tart. Now my dad's mum was Verna Scott, and I just presume we're related because of how everyone in my family is. Like Verna, my grandma, right? Okay, so we found out, so she had 9 children with my grandfather. Then, probably about 15 years ago, we found out that we had an uncle because she had an affair with a USO and gave up the child.
Mm.
And then after my grandfather, I think there was 1 or 2 more. So she was prolific. Not very safe, but prolific. It's like she could have done with a few campaigns from the health department as she was growing up.
You know, however, whatever was safe.
What?
Vandana's passion fruit
Good segue.
mini mousse cake.
Back from my my prolific, and it's not just on my dad's side. It's also on anyway. I'll just stop talking about how slutty my whole family is. And we're very sex positive in my family. My mum was the first one to take me to an adult shop when I was 18. It was hilarious.
I can't see the tracks. No. So Sabrina went with the blueberry apricot and the strawberry mousse. I thought blueberry apricot was an interesting combination.
Yeah.
Not one you see regularly.
No.
The strawberry mousse cake, I always look, I won't lie, I'm always a sucker for any form of cake with the strawberry baked into the side of it.
Oh, it's just so pretty. You know, when you get, I don't know, I'm trying to think of things. A flan? No, it wasn't a flan. Maybe, no.
No.
It's lost.
No, you don't have it?
No, slut brain's just kicked in.
Slut brain?
It's just all over the shop.
I thought it was holiday brain. So somebody's on holidays.
I am. It's fantastic. So it's...
Which is why someone's a little bit more chill.
I'm so chill. Yesterday I got so blissed out. I went to a day spa with my mum and my sisters for one of my sister's birthday. And I was so upset because I'd reached this state of like pure nirvana. And it wasn't, teen spirit. It was the actual nirvana. And I was so blissed out, more blissed out than I've ever been. And as nice as this woman had been all through the treatment, when she's gone, and now we're finished. And I'm like, no, you can't do this to someone. Like, you need to give them another 15 minutes just to sit in that bliss. Chris has really lost it now. He's like, Kristie, come back.
And you know what else was pure bliss? The look on Bruno and Rochelle's face when they tasted the pear charlotte, which was the technical.
Yes, good.
They had a look of bliss on their face. Mm-hmm. Me, I had a look of slight confusion. So
did we talk about Vandana's?
We did. That was the passion fruit and the white chocolate.
Oh, that's right. Wax lyrical about
back on the tracks. Train on the tracks. I'm flagging it down. So the pear charlotte. So after the first round, it was all to play for, except that Linda's all sludged. Yeah. But they loved the flavour of Linda's. You could just see, like, Rochelle was like almost licking the tray,
and she's like, "It's ugly but delicious."
Yeah, and after that, then went back for more.
Yeah.
So the pear charlotte. Now, I thought the pear charlotte was interesting. Obviously, technique-wise, which is what you want, really good.
Yeah.
We're used to a really good cross-section.
Yes.
And the pear charlotte doesn't necessarily give a great cross-section.
You weren't impressed with it. What is it? Let's break this down. So, is it the colour? Because there's a lot of Bavois in, what do they call it? Bavarian cream.
Bavois.
Bavois. There's thick, it just looks like cream. And then there's thin bits of pear.
I think there's a couple of reasons why I didn't particularly, and again, I'm probably alone. There were people like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Many things, answer. But I think in this particular instance, it reminded me a couple of things. First of all, a lot of cream, and I know it's Bavois, it's not cream, but still, it looks like cream. Secondly, because of the way that the pears are done, they don't necessarily look the most appetizing. Because the outside goes that nice color, but the inside sort of looks like a grey.
Yeah.
And so they don't look that appealing on the cross-section. And the third thing is, because of the way when it bakes, the pears, it doesn't fill.
Yeah.
So there's something, I'm not very OCD, although by playing Animal Crossing, I'm finding I'm a lot more OCD than I originally thought. But the sort of semi-OCD part of me goes, there's a lot of gap there. And it looks a little bit like, when they bake something into like a loaf or something like that and it falls and it doesn't rise and there's like a air pocket at the top. I can't cope with that. And it just looked like there were pockets around the
So
pear.
it's the uniformity that you're struggling
Yeah,
with here.
it didn't cross section.
See, a good cross section for me makes me want to go and eat it, or I'm in awe of its intricacy. So something that's got a good cross section is what's the layer upper layer cake? You know, the one Schick torta. Okay, so when you cross section that bitch, it is gorgeous, it is beautiful. Or when you cross section a pie and all the stuff in the middle just oozes out, like that just makes you want to eat it. Or a cross section of a cake that's got, well, like this. Yeah, you're right. I feel that it just, nothing about it was awe-inspiring, but, you know, or maybe want to go and eat it, but I'm sure it ate deliciously. The lady fingers I was here for, and the cake also looked good too.
Look, I think that someone should be keelhauled for that one. I think that the cake, look, it was technically brilliant.
Yeah.
I think technically it was a good challenge. Mm-hmm. I'm just used to a good cross section.
Yeah.
And especially again in a grand final, you want something a bit punchy. And look, the reason I raise this is we've mentioned this before with British Bake Off grand finals where they've been a little bit underwhelming with their challenge, and
this is their first one.
And
they had to pick safe bakes.
I'm not backing them out for that. I actually think this is a good bake.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if we're going to say something about British Bake Offs, and, you know, like, for example, you know, British Bake Off a couple of years ago doing fucking fondant fancies.
Oh, no, that was terrible. See, this is at least a solid bake. There's different technical skills involved in it.
The bake I actually liked. I just thought that for the look of what you want for a grand final, maybe a little bit more. But as we pointed out, this is their first go at one.
It also is thought-provoking for me because when you see the lady fingers and how they're created, right, like those straights, I'm thinking, does the witch in Hansel and Gretel then, like, that is a perfect architecturally structural piece that you could use to, like, decorate your home. Like, think of the outside of the gingerbread house that she lives in. If you just want a little bit of what are they called, like a trellis? Not a trellis.
Trellising and ladyfingers.
Like in ladyfingers, or like, you know, when it goes just at the top of the wall, under the gutter, you know, like that kind of decorative feature there, that would go well. Bigger ones, you could have like a fence.
Could I also point out that I really enjoy a bake that you can trim with scissors?
It's great.
Like, I love all this sort of other fancy kitchen stuff, and literally in the grand final it comes down to good use of scissors.
Like, you need to have done well in kindergarten to at least get on Bake Off.
That's why I'd never make it.
No, your scissor work is not good. You're left-handed too.
I'm a lefty to start with.
As my mum would call you, a khaki hander.
Yeah, she would indeed.
Yeah. So, as people would call you in Latin, sinister.
Or as most people would call me in Australia in the 1950s, just wrong, basically, and then they'd beat me until I wrote with the other hand. Anyway, so in the technical, you had Linda came first, so Linda came literally last to first.
Yes.
Sabrina was second, and Vandana was third, which sounds so much better than saying last.
Yeah.
The showstopper.
Yes.
Was a 3-tiered wedding cake.
I think it's a great, solid challenge, and it's going to produce something that's spectacular.
Yeah, and you know, they were talking about use of fondant on wedding cakes, and again, that made me reshare, of course, the photo of our one, which was, of course, the Bake Off shed.
Done by Moorish Cakes, thanks so much.
Done by Monica, of course, at Moorish Cakes.
Who I did say the other day, and I paid her a high compliment because I reposted something where, did you know, in Norse weddings, they used to give the bride kittens to, you know, as like a blessing. And I was just upset that we didn't invite more heathens. I didn't get any kittens at our wedding.
No.
I just feel that was a lack. And then Monica did point out she was there, and I'm like, yeah, that made up for the kittens.
They did make up for the kittens, and especially since, you know, Monica came bearing, you know, wedding cake. So obviously the 3-tiered wedding cake idea, I loved Linda's logic of everyone loves a carrot cake, to which there were a bunch of people on Twitter who went, no, not really. Oh, look,
and even she admitted, look, not everyone.
Yeah, she goes, everyone loves a carrot cake. Pause. Well, not everyone.
You know the worst carrot cake
I'm
is?
a bandit for a carrot cake.
Even the Sara Lee frozen slab carrot cake. Oh my god, the amount of times I had to cut one of those fuckers up for like a girl guide event.
They're not. Look, the Sara Lee slabs are not brilliant, but not bad.
For the chocolate cake.
No, I don't mind their carrot cake either.
Yeah, but you like carrot cake.
I like carrot cake.
Is that just because you're a redhead? You have to eat your own?
No.
Does that make you a cannibal?
What part of my family is made of cake?
No.
Remembering
Yeah.
that my mother listens to this podcast.
Hi, Glenda.
What part of our family is cake?
Well, knowing your love of it, at least 20% right here.
I'm not a big bandit of cat for cake, though.
I'm trying to make a joke, Buchanan.
I know.
Just go with the fucking joke.
No, I'm trying to get you to draw the family tree.
Look, after fucking what's his facey, Grieg, right, came.
Go on, this will be good. I'm waiting for this Swiss roll, Uncle Swiss roll. Great Uncle Swiss roll 5 times removed.
Yes, and he was known for his delicious jammy centre. His ability to be chopped up and put in a trifle.
My fifth aunt, Jemmy Dodger.
And the least talked about cousin fondant fancy. Just unfortunate.
Oh,
Yeah,
apparently
they came to Australia and they joined forces with the local and became a Lamington. It's like the first English person.
Great grandmother Lamington.
Yes. She was a bit crusty on the outside, but we just realised that was desiccated coconut.
Yep, don't. No,
She kept going to the doctors going, "What's this falling off me? It's just flaking off, doctor." Doctor, stop munching on my delicious corners.
It's not his fault. There was cream in the middle. Anyway, don't. Don't. That's my great grandmother Lamington you're talking about.
That's when we go for the jam centre too. It only happens monthly.
Get out.
Okay, we'll stop talking about your great grandmother Lamington there.
Anyway, so carrot cake. More importantly, with carrot cake, was that Linda made her own fondant, which was fucking insane.
She made fancy fondant. This is how
She
you make
made-
fondant fancy.
She made proper fucking fondant.
Oh, this is just something I do. It's so much easier to use, she says, like,
I absolutely
on the counter.
I absolutely love the way that Linda just randomly starts like doing shit like, we've talked about like Flora in British Bake Off who decides she's going to bake a side of macarons to go with the cake because why not? But then you get something like this, which is legitimate, where Linda's like, you know what, everyone else, I'm going to make my own fondant because why not? And it's like, because time. That's why, Linda, time.
But she's such a Renaissance woman. Like, she is so skilled in what she does. And I just love her. Like, and she's a true domestic goddess.
And more importantly, though, with Linda's was that it didn't actually impact the quality of her bake. Her only real problem that she was, in fact, if anything, her problem was that it was she cooked it for too long. So actually, that didn't hurt her for time, and it was more the fact that, as Rochelle pointed out, doing 6 cakes in the oven at once of varying sizes probably not a good idea.
No. Can't control it.
But the only other thing she was worried about was the fact that the carrot cakes weren't level. So, we got a bit of a lean there. Now we have Vandana.
Wow. Oh my God. I just adored her cake. Like the sari, the idea of that sari just folding down over. It's so regal.
And I like as well that she went different on the tiers. So, like, she didn't do the stacked layers. She did the individual platter, which is, I mean, from a actual standpoint and perspective of, like, at a wedding, that's smarter.
Easier to chop up.
Yeah, much easier to chop up, much easier to serve. You're not destroying the whole...
not as easy as chopping up a shed-shaped cake.
To be fair, the shed shape was genius because it meant that it was much easier to cut pieces because you're not worried about cutting, you don't have to cut the slices and the wedges out of a circle. You just cut straight lines.
I when she started doing that, like the red of the icing, that's what got me, and I'm like...
It was beautiful.
And then she put that gold luster dust, with the stenciling in.
Which was sure to win over Rochelle.
Yes.
But I thought what Vandana did with her red velvet was really awesome. And, again, the one thing the judges did say was they wanted a little bit more of the chocolate hit in the red velvet.
Yeah. And I think Rochelle was right saying that a little less of the flowers on top.
Yeah, I couldn't work out. I mean, I got why because of the wedding thing, but like, don't hide the cake you've just done.
Yeah, I mean, you could just, like kind of drape, like have like a kind of a snaking trail of flowers that kind of follow the sari down the different things. But you're doing a bloody wedding cake in 4 hours. Like, no one does that. That's just for me insane, but awesome that they achieved what they did in those 4 hours.
And then we had Sabrina with the pink champagne wedding cake.
At this moment, she's just gone, well, screw water and milk. I'm just going straight for the booze.
Starting with the booze.
Which,
as they pointed out when they tasted it, was the one thing they couldn't find because they said...
was very subtle and obviously got cooked out. It's alcohol.
Yeah, the champagne got cooked out. So they said it was like a trace element only.
And champagne is a pretty dry taste anyway. So it's a nice idea, but it's in the cake, I mean, not...
Yeah, it's
just a nice idea, but who wants to drink that?
Who wants to drink that champagne?
Just me. Just a bit of moe every day, to cope with the ISO working from home.
As I believe it was...
I can't afford moe. It's just sparkling white.
I believe it was Patsy that once said, I once gave up drinking, sweetie darling, worst 7 hours of my life.
See, Johnny, what do you want? Bollinger or Stolly? Stolly or Bolly? Stolly or Bolly? Stolly or Bolly?
So, and again, I liked Sabrina's. It was a more classical design.
I think it was fun. I think it was a little bit more contemporary. Like Vandana's was definitely contemporary.
Right.
I think Sabrina's was a little bit more, like you'd see that in a shop.
Yeah, and we didn't mention it when we talked about Linda's, but of course Linda's was based off her actual wedding cake.
Oh, and it was elegant like her. Like, you could just imagine her affair would have been just so wholesome and elegant, and she would have looked like a fucking picture. Like, if you opened up the dictionary and needed a picture to explain what bride would look like, it would be Linda. Like, she is just so classic.
It was, again, so 3 different approaches. Now...
And now we find out that it was a naked scuba wedding.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Just Bahamas. The original Bahama Mama. Anyway...
in the mud at Woodstock.
So, there wasn't... This is the interesting part about this episode, is that it was a really good grand final. It was a very good grand final indeed. Yeah. There's not a hell of a lot of detail to talk about on a podcast.
No,
because it was all
wonderful.
Good. Right, it was all good. There wasn't a lot of drama. There wasn't a lot of intrigue. It was just 3 people baking really well, which you want to see. Yeah. It was so nice to see everyone again at the garden party.
Yeah. Jude, in every shot I was looking for Jude, spotting her. James flicking his hair back, just the hands through the lustrous hair.
That's what I'm going for at the moment, by the way. It's clearly the James.
You really are channeling James with your hair at the moment.
My hair is about James' length.
I have tried. This is a lockdown look, Chris. Is it Luke? Lewk. You haven't had a haircut since before.
Yeah, before COVID.
Before COVID. It's like you don't.
It was February.
It's like you're trying to keep history in your hair. Like,
I'm storing it. Yeah,
it's not until we defeat the plague that you'll.
Yeah, my hair is very James at the moment. In line with my Patronus.
But the kitchen's actually clean at the moment, so...
There you go. So, obviously they all sort of had their picks, but it was good to see all the bakers. Again, Pierre is lovely. Every time you see Pierre. Oh. And again, we got to see Sinclair, and we got
Julian
Corey,
with his family.
Julian.
Yeah.
Oh, God, they're wonderful.
Stop it, everyone. Just come back and be awesome and let us love you.
Well, we're probably going to hear from some of them in the very, 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 very,
you
very,
keep
very...
saying that.
Yes, well, we had one, but we couldn't quite get the timing worked out this weekend, but I think this coming weekend we might get a bit of a chance at it.
Oh, good. Well,
that's I'm keeping that powder dry as to who that is, but I've already had some conversations, and yeah, probably this weekend.
Oh, that's nice.
But I'll work that out with them. I'm not even going to say him or her. I'll just say them.
Gender-neutral pronouns there.
Yes, indeed. So they go to the judging, and as Kristie pointed out, a couple of things. But before we get to that,
pronoun, is it?
So before they,
they.
So
no, them is too. But
yes.
What is them? Like, that's not a pronoun, is it?
Yes.
Oh.
He, his, her. He, she.
They're all pronouns.
They, them.
Did you know I was in the year at school where they moved grammar from year 8 to year 9, and then when I got to year 9, they moved it from year 9 to year 8.
So they just skipped you completely.
They just skipped us completely. The year below us, though,
Not saying
boy, do they know like
yeah, they got lots of it. So, in terms of the grand final, before we got to the announcement and the walk down, which we'll talk about in a moment, we got one of my, we mentioned it before, but that moment of Nim just running up the hill.
Oh, it just made me tear up. I said to you, this made me cry before and it's happening again. Just the joy on his face,
big hug.
His mum and just Vandana's dexterity and
And the
balancing
way
the
that,
cake and bending down.
Yeah, got the cake, got him, and then Sabrina's going, "You are so adorable." So obviously they then did. The judge walked down with the hosts, and as you pointed out, I hope they didn't have to do that many takes. Look, we had to walk into a grand final with about 8 takes, and that was enough.
And we didn't have a hill of that extent.
No.
That was a
slope,
and it looks like a deceptively steep hill.
Yes.
And you've got, obviously, Rochelle and Julia doing it in heels as well. And possibly, Dan.
Yeah.
I'm just presuming he's got, stilettos on under his just parents there. Just being awesomely awesome.
100%.
Yes.
And also, the concern, because, carrying that platter down the hill, you don't drop it.
No. Although, it might roll down like a cheese wheel. I'm wondering if, after the cameras went off, in
England,
the wheel of cheese, just the platter
if
down
they
the hill.
were really worried
tumbling
about,
down
if
afterwards.
they really weren't sure who the winner of Bake Off was, they could have just rolled the platter down the hill. And much
people
like the
tumbling.
wheel of cheese, you tumble down the hill after it.
Who do you think out of the three would get there? I think Linda's got a bit of her elongate.
Oh, it's 100%. It's 100% Vandana.
You reckon?
100% Vandana.
Just from pure
raising a toddler. Raising a toddler. Look,
But
and I know
Sabrina had developed her guns.
And I know Linda's done that, obviously, and now has the grandkids. But I just feel like in current active duty...
So you're saying 20 to 30 years ago when Linda had young
Linda
children...
would have killed everybody.
Yeah. Slaughter.
We've already talked about her Bahamas wedding. And I think she would have just... Everyone would have been out of the way, get out of my way.
It's probably how they served the cake at the wedding. Just rolled it down a sand hill. Sand dune. Everyone naked, just rolling down after it.
So they announced, of course, the winner was Sabrina. So Sabrina wins the first series of the Great Canadian Baking Show.
There was much hugging into Rochelle's bosom.
There was much hugging, there was much crying, there was much tear, there was much joy.
It was as sweet and as beautiful as you could possibly make it.
And it was as sweet and as beautiful as the series.
Yeah.
So, as an end to the series as well, the first series as well, it's a really good ending. It's a series where any of the three of those could have won it. To be honest with you, any of the last 5 or 6 could have actually won it quite easily.
Yeah.
They were all...
Look, the first person out could have won it.
Pierre
had that
everyone we've spoken to has said the same thing. We all thought coming in was Pierre because we'd seen and tasted some of his food and we're like, holy shit, you're good.
I'm hoping that, they just do a bake-off, they just did with MasterChef,
The
bake-off back to win.
A redemption bake thing. Again, we have consistently, we've put it...
Commonwealth.
We've put it, apart from Commonwealth, which, is copyright. We've put it to Marike, the producer for Canadian, and, she didn't shoot it down.
No.
She didn't boost it either, but she didn't shoot it down.
Yeah, but can you imagine how many pitches for TV shows she gets, on a daily basis?
I've got the full format done.
But she'll probably go to her barista, gets her nice coffee of a morning, and every morning it's a new show being pitched. She's like, Jim, I am just here for my macchiato. Can you hurry the fuck up?
I've got
an actual TV show to run.
I've got a full rundown of the Commonwealth Games.
Jim, really? A reality show about making, paper? It's just not going to fly. It's paper. There's only so much we can do with it. No, I don't care that there's, wax paper, and there's, present paper, and there's paper that's copy paper. It's just paper. A show about paper is never going to fly, Jim. Jim, just make my fucking macchiato. Morning, Jim. How you... No, I really don't have time for this pitch, Jim. Okay.
This may never end.
Because it doesn't end for America. We have to, understand she knows how to handle
That paper show's
Rando
got
pictures.
that paper show's got 8, maybe 9 seasons in it. But that 8th and 9th are going to feel like a stretch at times. So anyway, back to what we're talking about. Season 1 of this show, as a season 1, is sublime.
Start to finish.
And it hits the ground running in a way that most other series don't. I mean, look, we talk about Australian season 1, and when we talk about Australian season 1, we don't even really talk about Australian season 1. We talk about Australian season 2.
Yeah.
Because, of course, Australian season 1 was owned by Channel 9 and was an abysmal...
It was a shit pile. Let's say they got the guy who played Kenny from the movie Kenny, which is about a guy who drives shit around. And quite frankly, I think they just pulled off what was the back of his fucking truck and put it on TV.
It didn't work. And look, the thing is that we know that it took, and as much as there are parts of the conglomerate that owns the company that are horrific, it took Foxtel pumping a bunch of money into the show, into the format, and giving Fremantle, like, in Australia, permission to just
Get it done.
and do it the way they wanted to do it. That's what it took. And, like, in Canada, CBC just backed the damn thing and gave them when you know what to do, go play in the sandbox. And it works. And there's a reason why when I'm asked about series of Bake Off, I rank Canadian above British. And I understand British, again, the originator, all these sorts of things. But if you look at British after about season 5, season 6... I'd
say after the season where Nadia won.
No, I think even before that, but I think that the Nadia season sort of revitalised it a little bit. But after about season 5, season 6 of British, what you tend to start getting is... Not even they're running out of ideas. It's just more that they get lazy at times.
Well, and there's people on there who, there's people who are genuine bakers who genuinely have the passion, but it's less about that now because there is a career path after.
Yeah, and I mean the difference.
Like this year, we definitely saw some Instagram.
Well,
bakers.
just to sort of give you a bit of an idea, the British bakers all have agents. They all have agents, and you don't tend to get as much of that with Australian and Canadian.
Like, I think we've been really lucky, and it shows how generous a lot of the British bakers actually are, because we've had the opportunity to chat to a few of them.
Jan and Stephen in particular, who are just lovely, lovely people. But it just goes to show you there is a difference in terms of the reach of the show and the afters of the show as well. And again, a lot of people now, and you talked about that then, they're going on to British Bake Off, the Instagram bakers sort of going on there to raise public profile and get themselves... And good luck to them. That's not a criticism. But it does change...
The culture.
It changes the culture of the show. Whereas, again, Australian... Look, they mentioned the prize in the first season on Foxtel, but the second season we knew there was a prize, but... Yeah.
Didn't really matter.
No one really cared. They stopped even bothering with the prize eventually.
Yeah.
And in Canadian, they didn't even start with a prize.
No.
You get the platter, and that's about it. But what you get is this really awesome camaraderie, and these bakers that are just there having fun
and family and friends. They make a family for life.
It really is. Like they still, as Jude said the other day when we spoke to her, they still all talk.
Yeah.
Like that chat is still very active. She goes, every day someone's posting something in this chat.
Yeah. Or just seeing photos of like Liam going over to visit Jude,
and we've seen as well the mixing of sort of the different bakers from around the world, and we've seen their interactions with each other. It's just it's lovely to see, but there is a large sort of family sort of atmosphere there.
Yeah.
And I think that what Canadian managed to do very quickly was just adopt this ethos and go, like, we're going to make this the most Canadian thing we can think of.
And it's just a lot of love and a lot of kindness.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, look, one of the greatest sort of accidents we've ever had was stumbling across season 1 when we were desperate to find something to watch.
I needed a balm after a very terrible season of MasterChef. And I'd remembered that our friend Valerie had mentioned Canadian. I'm like, may as well give it a bill. All right.
Yeah, and so we watched it, and then we watched and shotgunned the whole series. And
after, like, I think we're just starting episode 2, and I'm like, we need to
do this. So obviously... I highly recommend, if you want us to do more of an in-depth analysis and break everything down, go back and listen to the original Series 1 podcast, because there's some really good stuff in there, surprisingly. I'm not big on listening back. I listen back to our episodes usually the day after we record them, just so I can hear them and hear what they were like and sort of see if I liked them or not. There are occasional things I will listen to more than once. The Virgies I will listen to more than once. And again, if you're okay with spoilers, because I can't guarantee you when Season 2 is going to be out, go listen to the Canadian Virgies.
But I think one of the highlights for me about this rewatch has been seeing new people that we know being able to enjoy it.
I've loved that because people
like
that
Gabby, who even had a birthday during it.
People that we know who either watched it the first time and get to enjoy it again, or a lot of people who were with us for MasterChef.
Yeah, that
and
came
we're like,
across.
I need something to watch.
Yep.
Like what can I watch? And we're like, we've got you. And so hopefully you've got a lot out of this first series. Now, Series 2 and Series 3, don't know. I'm actually trying to track down if Foxtel has plans to show them. I really hope they do. The other thing to just be aware of is that British is almost finished recording.
Yeah.
And they've started to drop trailers for it.
So it could be that the next run of a show we're going to get is British.
So British is coming up. Canadian is 3/4 of the way through filming, I believe. So they're almost ready for their Season 4.
Yep.
And the other non-bake-off thing that will be coming up, and we've talked about it, and we are going to do it, and obviously a very different tone of show, is Junior MasterChef.
Yes.
And the trailers are coming out, and it's coming out very shortly too. We will be doing Junior MasterChef.
So if you want to feel like you have failed as an adult by watching young people
be amazing,
I think Junior MasterChef is
going
to fulfill that need.
It's going to be the thing that fills that need. So again, that will be a very different, for all those people worrying about that will be a very different tone to normal
We
MasterChef,
are not
obviously.
equal to kids, and I think this is one of the bravest things that you could do at that age,
100%.
being a child, like going onto a national TV show and displaying your skills there. You know,
and look,
up.
we know for a fact, having seen some of the stuff that's in the previews, these kids are going to put a lot of adults to shame.
I think there's going to be like a lot of adults going, well, I was going to audition for MasterChef, but now I realise.
There's possibly a joke in there about Andy being a little bit like Homer in the competition to arrange a new nuclear power plant. When Frank Grimes enters Homer in a kids competition, and like Homer puts a racing stripe and aerodynamic fins on the power plant and wins it, and they're like, hey, this is a kids competition. Yeah, and Homer's kicking their ass. I just got this feeling that Andy's going to end up cooking against them.
I'm actually looking
I think
forward
Andy
to
will actually be
Andy
brilliant.
will be brilliant in this.
Andy will be brilliant with the kids.
Yeah.
So, look, that'll be something else that's coming up as well. So, that's going to do it for the moment. We will probably be back in the very near future with some interview pods. Canadian baking show, definitely. I can say that, definitely. We will have some people from Canadian on. You never quite know who else we're going to be talking to, though. There are some other things in the pipeline we are working on still. They will possibly happen, so keep tuned for that. We will also let you know as we go on what order things are coming out, basically.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to everyone in Melbourne and Victoria who listens and say a big thank you for what you're going through and being in lockdown and, you know, containing an outbreak of COVID-19 down there.
Yeah.
And keeping the rest of Australia safe. So, you know, we are with you, and we hope that you are keeping your sanity in check as best as you can. And if this podcast is helping that in any little way, then I'm glad it is.
Yes.
If it's not, please tell us, and we will just continue podcasting anyway.
Yeah, look, we're not going to change.
We are not a mental health service, and we recommend you reach out to one of those.
reach out to actual experts in the field.
Actual experts in the field.
Not us. So that's sort of going to do us for now. Thank you again for along. I do recommend to go back and listen to Season 1 if you want more in depth. Until next time, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
And we will catch you all later.
Hello from beyond the grave. It is great-great-grandmother Lamington saying sayonara.